The amazing salvation story of Hulk Hogan, Terry Bollea, better known to the world as Hulk Hogan, was more than just a wrestling icon. With his handlebar mustache, 24-inch pythons, and larger-than-life charisma, Hogan dominated the professional wrestling world in the 1980s and 1990s, becoming a household name through the WWF, now WWE, movies, and countless endorsements. But behind the persona of the invincible Hulkster was a man who faced crushing personal trials and eventually found strength through salvation in Jesus Christ. Though raised in a Catholic household in Tampa, Florida, Hogan's early brush with faith was more tradition than transformation. As his wrestling career exploded, faith faded into the background. The fame, money, and attention were intoxicating. "I was on top of the world," Hogan once said, "but I wasn't standing on solid ground." That ground began to crack in the early 2000s. After decades of superstardom, Hogan's personal life unraveled. His son, Nick, was involved in a high-profile car crash in 2007, which left a friend permanently injured and led to criminal charges. Around the same time, Hogan's marriage of over 20 years to Linda collapsed publicly. The stress, guilt, and grief hit Hogan hard. "Everything I built was crashing down," he later recalled, "and I didn't know how to stop it." At his lowest point, Hogan contemplated ending his life. In interviews, he described sitting alone in a dark room, staring at a gun, ready to pull the trigger. "I had nothing left," he admitted. "The Hulk Hogan character didn't matter anymore. I didn't want to be here." But then, something happened that changed the course of his life. Hogan received a call from Layla Ali, Muhammad Ali's daughter, and his co-star from American Gladiators. Sensing his pain, she told him, "You need to get back to the Bible. You need to reconnect with your faith." That conversation became a lifeline. He dusted off his Bible, began reading, and reconnected with the teachings of Jesus. He focused especially on forgiveness, something he had long struggled with. "I had to forgive others, but more than that, I had to forgive myself," Hogan said. From that point forward, Hulk Hogan began walking a different path. He started surrounding himself with mentors of faith, studying scripture more deeply, and praying regularly. In public appearances, he became more open about his Christianity. He no longer hesitated to speak about Jesus or credit God with helping him rebuild his life. Hogan describes his salvation as more than just a moment. It was a process. There wasn't a flash of light or a burning bush, but there was peace, and there was clarity, he explained. Over time, his life began to reflect that peace. He mended family relationships, began speaking at churches, and found healing from the emotional trauma that had weighed him down for years. Perhaps the most powerful part of his testimony is how he now sees his fame not as an end in itself, but as a platform for good. "God didn't give me this life to live for me," he once said. "He gave it to me so I could point people to him." Today, Hulk Hogan remains a pop culture legend. But for those who've followed his story closely, his most important title isn't champion or icon, it's believer. He credits Jesus Christ with rescuing him, not just from despair, but from a life without eternal direction. "I thought Hulk Hogan had all the answers," he reflects, "but it turns out Jesus did."